For more on this story, we can now cross to correspondent Nick Holdsworth in Moscow. Hi, Nick. These remarks from the White House today point the finger at Russia's cruise missile program. So what has the response been there in Moscow?
It's been very much a Soviet response, really, for those watching who may have seen the TV series Chernobyl recently, or for those who remember the events of 33 years ago. The sort of the drip of information, the denials and then confirmation a couple of days later on certain elements of this is a bit familiar. I mean, at first, the Russian authorities said that there had been an accident. A couple of guys had died. Later, that rose to five scientists, as you said. And there were reports of an increase in background radiation levels. That was carried on some official websites, then removed, denied, and then actually confirmed by the country's nuclear atomic energy authority, Rosatom, who then actually released figures on precisely how much background radiation had risen. And again, it's only today that the Russian authorities have stated that the accident involved a liquid isotope for a nuclear-fueled propulsion system for a missile known in Russia as the Storm Petrel missile, and known in America as a Skyfall missile. And this is a type of a cruise missile, a nuclear-tipped cruise missile, very much the sort of missile which was controlled under the Intermediate Nuclear Treaty, that key Cold War nuclear treaty, which lapsed just a couple of weeks ago after America pulled out last year and the Russians followed suit a few months later. So, you know, at the moment, situation still seems fairly fluid. People living in the nearby village of Neonotska have been told to evacuate, although the regional governor says it's not actually an evacuation, although special trains have been laid on. So tomorrow morning we're expecting several hundred locals to be moved away from the area. The authorities suggest that may be part of a clean-up program that's going on at this platform, the sea-based platform test site in the White Sea off the coast of northern Russia.
Now, just briefly, we've heard reports that the Russian military actually advised residents of that village near the Navy testing range to evacuate, but cancelled the order hours later. Does this point to the fact that they were aware that civilian lives were in danger there?
Almost certainly, as I said, it's this kind of Soviet-style reaction of saying one thing and retracting it the next minute. On the one hand, they're saying that nobody is at risk. On the other hand, they are laying on trains for people to leave. They're saying it's a suggestion, it's not an evacuation order. The medical personnel who cared for those men, the 5 who died and 3 who were injured, they've been taken to Moscow for medical tests. They've had to sign non-disclosure agreements. They were seen wearing protective suits. It's quite clear that something involving a lethal agent occurred there, and there obviously is some public risk, although the authorities are trying to downplay that.
Thank you very much. That's Nick Holdsworth reporting for us from Moscow. Well, that's all for this update.